You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
I look good. I got big energy every day.
Let's go!
And he is dead.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
Good ball, Herb.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wooldog, sitting with my two buddies, Kev Huggin Duggan.
Well, hello.
And Kyle, the coach Duggan.
What's up, ladies?
Hey,
Hey,
there's the
there
spice.
it is. We're back at it.
There's the energy.
I know. I was just saying this. I know we're in trouble when he calls us ladies before an episode, like right when it starts. It's going to be a zesty one, guys.
Yeah, spicy meatball.
This is spicy, like spicy peri peri. Strive. I want that sponsorship. God damn it! All right. Well, folks, there is some more news to talk about this week. Lots to uncover, and some early moves we're finally starting to see from the Chargers. So that is exciting. But we need to shout out a very special listener, if you will, a Patrick, a.k.a. Uncle Pimo, tagged us on Twitter. What did he have to say there, Kev?
Yeah, so we had that episode where we talked about getting season tickets, and it looks like we maybe pushed him over the edge, and him and his buddy went out and got season tickets and shouted out us for convincing them to go for it. So
Love it.
Honestly, that's the coolest shit I've ever heard. So I'm so happy that they did it, and we're gonna fill the stadium up, couple fans at a time.
All Charger Chat podcast listeners, I would love that. Oh my God, imagine a full stadium of people.
Holy shit.
All right, now on the count of three, give me a K love you bye. 1, 2, 3.
K love you, bye.
Or it's a chant like when we're up by a lot in the fourth quarter. It just rings out around the stadium.
Love you,
That'd be
bye.
dope.
K love you bye. K love you
Do it to the Chiefs. That would be too
Dude,
good.
we got to do that in Kansas City for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Patrick, for reaching
Thanks,
out to us.
man.
We are excited
And
to
congrats.
see you. And
congrats.
congratulations. Yes, those look like some awesome seats right there. It doesn't look like a bad seat in this stadium. So
No.
looks like where you're sitting is pretty sweet. And then looking on to more Charger-specific team news, Rich Eisen was asked a question on his show about whether or not he would take Justin Herbert or Deshaun Watson, do like a straight trade up between the two. And boy, just straight up was like, I watched it. He was like, no, Justin Herbert, Justin Herbert.
Yeah. There's no
And the
pause.
guy, and I don't know who the guy was that was asking the question. I just saw the clip, but the guy was like, wow, you didn't even have to think about that. And he's like, well, yeah, like you got to look at Justin Herbert, his contract, and Deshaun Watson and what he's asking for. And it's just as we mentioned, Herbert's just in that prime spot right now. To quote Rich Eisen, he said, that kid is special. That kid is really special. You can win a championship now in the first iteration of his contract. You've got somebody that talented, that young, that much of an upside with all the other weapons around. No, thank you. Win now with him. Build something now with him. Utilize his contractual status now and then pay him and run it back with the guy that you already built with your fan base here.
Dude, it's what we talk about all the time. Like, it gives us the ability to build around him.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, dude, everyone we're talking to, he's building up this fan base. He's like really the catalyst to get more people on board, and it's just exciting to follow him.
Yeah, it's like we've talked to so many people now where it seems like they're a fan because of LT.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's who brought them to the team. And having a guy like Justin can do that, especially we're now we're in LA. So we are an LA based team, but we still haven't really solidified our place. So we haven't brought in a big name free agent, really like that Hollywood kind of signing. So
we drafted one
instead. Did it through the draft. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like we always talk about. It's always awesome to hear like mainstream media talking about our boy in a positive light. Like I went back and was trying to find like old Phil Rivers stuff because I had some time on my hands this weekend, and there wasn't no one really ever said anything amazing about him. It was always like a pun or a joke about his kid.
Always,
his ability to create children. It wasn't anything like this
fruit. Yeah,
exactly. Like it's really refreshing.
It is big time, and it's funny just because the way he framed it. is the same way that we framed it when there was that one ridiculous tweet, whoever it was from ESPN was like, they get Justin Herbert and like a multitude of picks and we get Deshaun Watson and his big fat contract. No, thank you.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all stuff that we've already talked about. So again, it's just refreshing to hear it from other people that, utilize this quarterback and the contract that he has and build around him. Let him be the driving force of this team. So good to hear it on Rich Eisen. And then some little chitter chatter on some free agency news with Denzel Perryman. Apparently, the Chargers are going to let him test the free agency waters, as it will. After playing 26 games his first 2 seasons, Perryman was bitten by the injury bug in years 3 and 4, limiting him to 16 combined appearances. Despite dealing with several setbacks, Perryman earned a 2-year, $12 million extension in 2019.
Yeah, dude. It's like... I don't know. Now that this is actually happening, it's like my heart's breaking a little bit. Like there's just certain guys on the roster that you're like, okay, that's my boy. Like this is my boy, and like you can see how he's responding. Somebody posted, his Instagram, and a couple guys are like, "Don't leave us, bro," and he's like, "Not trying to."
Right.
He's like, somebody else said, "Don't leave us," and he said, "I am not trying to." Like he wants to stay.
Right.
It's just the reality of the situation we're in right now. It's not the easiest thing to just like hand him a contract, like go see, and then if you're not getting what you want, come back. He probably already offered him something. He just wants to go see what else is out there.
Yeah. I mean, the sad thing is, even though this is a game, for these guys it's also a business, and for some people business has to come first, and it's understandable. They got to take care. This is their income, this is their priority. So I want Denzel Perryman to stay, but I also want to see him get paid. And, Chargers, we've got some cap space, we've got some room, but again, we've got to still kind of be a little bit limited with what we can
New direction. Who knows what the plan is?
Yeah, but all these guys, so many people are getting cut because no one has money. So
it's out of control.
People are not going to overpay for a Denzel Perryman.
Right. As
much as I love him because he's a Charger and we've got to see him make some pretty great plays. He's not a 3-down linebacker. He's a run stopper, thumper.
Mm-hmm.
You think that kind of guy is going to get a big contract in a year where everyone's cutting Pro Bowlers and trading first-round picks?
Well,
and
that's what he wants to find out, and he'll test those free agency waters to see what he can get. I mean, we're already seeing some big surprise cuts. Kyle Van Noy just got released from was it Miami? Is that where he was at? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, I think what something interesting about, I don't know if our audience knows, but somebody on this podcast played high school football with Kyle Van Noy. Was it you, Will Dog?
No.
It wasn't me. So
yeah, I did.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, dude.
Yeah. So he was on when you came up to our McQueen game, that state championship.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the team.
No shit.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he was like he led this. He was like a first team All State wide receiver and outside linebacker for us.
Wow.
Yeah. He's pretty impressive. Although back then he just pushed people. He didn't tackle because he was so much bigger and stronger than everyone.
You didn't want to
He
kill
would just
anybody.
like get to them and just like push them to the ground.
Just sit down. Bam.
How would you feel about, some of these names? Like everyone was surprised that they released him. Like that's really a top level linebacker. Like what are your thoughts on if we were to bring him in?
He's a middle linebacker. He's not an outside guy. So I don't think, obviously we have a lot of needs on our team. Linebacker, I don't think is one of those big time need to fill with a big name player. Because he's still in the prime of his career. He's going to get paid pretty well somewhere. I don't think that we are a great fit for him right now. If we were Kenneth Murray-less, and it was last year, I think maybe something could have worked out. But I don't see that happening. I don't know where he goes, but
no McQueen high school reunion for the Charger Chad and Kyle Van Noy, huh?
I don't think so. Although Golden Tate, my boy, he's
also released. Yeah,
he was also released. You never know. I don't know where he's going. He just got released. I'm not privy to that information. He's married to my wife's cousin, so I know him and I see him on a lot of stuff and go to his kids' birthdays and stuff. But it would be cool if he That'd be cool if he came out to LA. I have no idea, but that would be sweet. Yeah,
that would be sweet.
It's just so crazy. Like the fact we're talking about these names, like some of these guys that are available. Like this is like I don't think we are quite prepared for how crazy this offseason, free agency is gonna be. Because the next couple weeks are gonna be bananas, in my opinion.
Yeah,
big time. Yeah, considering that the Chargers are in the upper tier of open cap space, like. There are some teams ahead of us that have some more, but like we are going to be in some talks with some pretty big names. And we also just saw, I think it was today, Carlos Dunlap just got released from the Seahawks as well.
Yep.
Another big name out there floating around. So,
yeah, man,
boy, it's about to get nuts. So hold on to your ass, folks, because free agency is just around the corner. Although I have heard, let's see, that they were supposed to come out with the cap limit today. And there hasn't been any news about that yet because I think tomorrow is supposed to be the deadline for the franchise tag. But since the cap number hasn't come out, they might be pushing that franchise tag back a bit.
It's the player union wants to wait and see what the negotiation is for like the TV contracts, and they don't want to do anything until that's done, and that's not done. So they're talking about pushing back how long they can franchise somebody. Like you need to know what your budget is. They have an idea, but you need to know what that is before you start pulling trigger on shit. So that makes total sense.
Yeah. So just one more thing to make us wait and find out if we can really do anything, I guess, when free agency comes around. But it's looking good for the Chargers. That's at the very least. It's looking good to hopefully retain some talent that we would love to hold on to, like Denzel Perryman, as well as pick up some other maybe big names that we might get to see next season.
Dude, some big names on some 2-year contracts. The sky's the limit on what could happen. Like, it's exciting.
It is exciting. So we will see what will happen. But now we've got to move on over to Coach's Corner with Kyle, who will pick a question from all of you folks in the Ask Boltfam. The lucky winner for this Coach's Corner is a C. Densley 11 from Reddit.
Come on down.
You got yourself a spot on the Coach's Corner. So he's got a question. It goes a little something like this.
Non-free agency draft question. A certain NFL analytics podcast that shall remain nameless had an interesting discussion about whether the Chargers should put Derwin at corner, becoming our version of Jalen Ramsey and Staley's scheme. They are very similar measurables in play style. Derwin went toe-to-toe with Keenan in one-on-ones and has played some snaps at corner for us in the past. Having him as the lockdown corner and allowing Casey to play the quarterback 2 role gives us a clear advantage at both spots. Plus, in the 3-4 Eagle Man Bear Pig Spider 2 Y Banana defense, Man Bear Pig. 4 linebackers already gives us athleticism in the box where we use to let Derwin roam. Is that crazy or something we should test out?
What a great question.
Great question. Yeah, at first when I was looking through these, like my first couple sentences of reading Derwin to corner, I was like, that's crazy talk.
Dare you?
Yeah. Come on.
Who thought
you shut your mouth a little bit.
Just a little.
I don't see him playing on the outside. I don't see him being a one-on-one matchup with the number 1 receiver. Not because he couldn't do it. I think he could probably do it. But for the same reason why the Rams moved Jalen into the slot is the same reason they would not move Derwin out to the outside. You limit your effectiveness. You limit what you can do. Sure, you can shut down one guy, but then they just don't throw to that guy, and they find somebody else. But if you're always moved, that's why Jalen Ramsey he would move with the best receiver, but then they just didn't throw to him, and they were still losing. So it's like you can eliminate one guy, but what about the other 10? So the guys that are so dynamic, like Derwin, he really doesn't have a position. That's why this discussion is fun, because he could play corner, but he could also play safety. He could also play outside linebacker. He could play so many, and you don't know what it really is. If he lines up over the slot, you don't know if we have him man-to-man. You don't know if we have him blitzing. You don't know if we have, you don't know what the personnel is, if we're in nickel or if you just don't know what he is on every single snap. So to say put him on the outside in the corner, I think limits his effectiveness. He could do that, but there's plenty of guys that can do that can't do all the other things that he does. Yeah. So to put him out there kind of limits his impact on the overall defense. And I think that's exactly why Ramsey bumped down into the slot this year. His first time ever playing in the slot was because our coach realized, hey, we're not getting the most out of this guy. We're not shutting down multiple things. We're not making the offense think enough, having to account for where he is on the field every play. Instead of just knowing, hey, Derwin or Jalen's always out. He's going to be outside on number one. So we'll find something else to do. So I don't see that happening. Could it happen on some plays? Maybe.
Here and there. Yeah.
We play the Seahawks and DK Metcalf is just a monstering over people. Sure. Maybe in the red zone, you go match him up with him and say, press him and shut him down. But it's not going to be a consistent majority of the snap type of deal at all.
Derwin's like the Swiss Army knife, but it's like that weird. This situation would be that weird moment where you would like use the weird ass little toothpick on the Swiss Army knife and not use this knife and like the.
It'll work.
You know,
like
that would be the best goddamn toothpick you've ever had. But you want the corkscrew, you want the blade, you want all this
shit. You want the can opener, you want the shotgun, you want it all.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Break me off a piece of that.
There you go. Yeah, I think you're right, Kyle. He seems like he's so mobile. He could be a threat anywhere at any given moment. Why lock him down to one position in a man-to-man situation? You're right. I think that leaves a lot of opportunities open. But like you said, we might see that here and there. So great question, C. Densley.
But I do want to say, if they are in the 3-4 Eagle, man, bear, pig, spider, 2-white banana defense,
we know where to look.
All bets are off.
That's right.
All bets are off. Yeah.
All bets are off.
That's notoriously creative defense.
Yeah. So. It's a man, bear, pig, baby.
Yeah. You never know what's coming.
Half man, half bear, half pig.
I'm super serious. Oh my God. All right. All right. Well, now it's time to go on over to an interview. And who do we have this week, Kev?
Well, we're on a roll. We're starting to gather other Charger podcasts, and this week we have somebody special from the Chargers Brawl. So Adam, what do you think?
Bring it. Let's make it happen.
All right, guys. We are here with Jake Hefner, the co-host of Chargers Brawl podcast and the former columnist for Bolts from the Blue. Thank you so much for coming on, Jake.
Absolutely, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just so much fun getting all these podcasts together and all the love and all the information. You can get so much Charger info now. It's crazy. It not used to be that way.
I know. It's kind of like Avengers Assemble a little bit, just in the Chargers form. So it's pretty cool.
Definitely. You send out like the conch shell, like everyone get together, get your stuff. I love that.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit. I didn't know too much about the Brawl Network and your Chargers Brawl, the Chargers podcast on that network. So tell us a little bit about the network and like what you guys do over there.
So yeah, it's crazy to think that I think almost to the day the Brawl Network got off and running. So it's been in place now for just about a year. And it's basically just a network that's built up of, we don't have all the 32 teams represented yet for football as far as the podcast and the writers goes, but we're getting there. But we've even branched out to basketball. We're getting into baseball. We have MMA podcasts that are on there.
Sweet.
And again, so we're just trying to get as much content as we can out there. So Mike Brez, who's our company president, has done a great job over the past years as far as just developing everything. We have Michael Shoddy. He used to be with Bleacher Report as a representative of us now, and he's still doing great work. He was just talking, I think it was last week, I believe, that he had Schefter on his podcast.
Oh,
so
sweet.
Yeah, it's been really great. And over the past year, things have really grown. So we're happy to see where it's gone.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and you guys do some great articles. It's not just podcasts. There's some other stuff to check out over there, which was kind of fun to read. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
So let's just get into it. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. The big one everyone seems to be circling around to is this Hunter Henry situation. So like, there's a word of Ertz, a trade talk. Where our thought is that it's kind of like we're going to throw a little snowball in your team's court. You throwing back. We're kind of get the leverage. So what are your thoughts on the Hunter Henry situation? What are we going to do?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit indifferent with this. If you told me that Zach Ertz was going to be had for the Chargers for, say, a 5th round pick, and your long-term plan was that you were going to have Donald Parham as your starter that you wanted to have moving forward, I could get on board with that. But if you're telling me that we're talking about conversations of the Chargers trading a 3rd round pick for Zach Ertz, I'm not going to want to entertain that whatsoever.
Same.
From contract standpoint and from the money standpoint, I can understand why this situation would make sense. I love Hunter Henry. It's going to be interesting to see what the contract situation is going to look like for him. Hopefully, since they have been talking going all the way back to last season, that the negotiations have been well. And we all know with the way that Tom Telesco operates, literally no news is potentially good news. And it's like one day it'll be
Telesco.
It'll be like a Woj bomb where just all of a sudden the news drops. So it's going to be something really interesting to monitor as we get closer to free agency here in the next couple of weeks. Again, I think that the Chargers would benefit greatly to have him if the money was right.
Mm-hmm.
But, Zach Ertz, if it was for that kind of a price, I wouldn't say it would be a bad fallback option.
Gotcha. Awesome. That's a good point of view. We're all like Hunter Henry homers, so it's good to get your point of view on it. So let's talk a little bit about, there's so much fun stuff to talk about right now as a Charger fan. It's like
so
we got
much.
A new coach, we got all these players, like how the players going to reshape the roster, what's going to happen. So like the draft is huge, and everyone and their mom is tackle, get some offensive linemen. Popper says it every day long. It's like hit it over the head. I love it. What are you seeing as like what we really should be doing with the draft this year?
I mean, free agency is going to determine that, really. Are the Chargers going to go out and spend another and fill up more of their cap with offensive linemen? I mean, there's worse things that you could do, and you do have your franchise quarterback Justin Herbert. If you want to take a look at an example of a team that does not invest in their offensive linemen, go to Cincinnati and ask Bengals fans how they feel about how they felt when Joe Burrow went down because of a lack of protection. But they brought in Trey Turner last year. Be interesting to see if the Chargers end up keeping him or release him. That would definitely open up a lot of cap space. You obviously brought in Brian Bulaga. Both of those guys didn't end up panning out nearly the way that we all expected him to. What's going to happen with Forrest Lamp, with Dan Feeney? We've talked about on the podcast, at least between those two, that as much as I like Lamp, I think that Feeney holds a little bit more versatility for his ability to play both guard and center. So I think that he holds a little bit more value, possibly a better chance for him to return. And then, of course, you look at that left tackle position. Sam Tevy doesn't, all indications are that he's not going to be returning. I don't think that you're going to put Trey Pipkins in that position. So you really have to look at the left tackle position, really. So for me, I'm in the majority as well, that I think whether it's the rumored trade for Orlando Brown that a lot of people says makes sense, or if the Chargers sit at 13 and you're looking at possibly Rashawn Slater or Christian Darrisaw or even Elijah Vera Tucker, who is gaining so much steam now over the last couple of weeks. I mean, you look at some guys' boards, he's rated higher than Rashawn Slater right now, arguably possibly the number 2 tackle because of his versatility. Either position that you plug him in at, he's going to do just fine. And the Chargers are going to have a plethora of options, even if they ultimately decide to trade back. I still think that offensive line needs to be a priority, especially if you don't end up going after it in free agency. If we're standing here on May the 1st, after the draft is over, the Chargers did not go out in free agency and get somebody somebody to shore up their offensive line and waited till the second round to go after an offensive lineman, I think that is a crucial mistake.
Pitchforks and torches, and Charger fans will be storming the gates.
Yes.
But it's interesting because right now there's so much, like every day there's a new offensive lineman that's becoming available. It's like with this cap and people needing to make room, and they're like Lindley from the Packers, and there's new centers and new guards and new people are dropping every day. And we listened to an interview with Frank Smith, our offensive line coordinator, and he just said very recently he hadn't even started analyzing these guys. So like there's so much work to still be done. So it's really hard to see. There's so many paths though. There's so many ways they could go.
Mm-hmm. Well, then if you're just centralizing from a draft perspective, the scouting department has their work cut out for them this year because you have no combine. You have limited access to some of these prospects. Some of them you don't even have 2020 tape to rely on. You have to go all the way back to 2019. So really how you value these guys, every team is going to have them valued so differently. And then as you had mentioned from the Lindsey standpoint, that would be a great pickup, I think, for the Chargers to have him, bring him in at center. So really bring some some good quality at that role. I personally am a huge Scott Questenberry fan, and I think that
the Q
he should have gotten a lot more chances to perform at that center position the way he did in spot duty a couple years ago. But it'll be interesting to see. I would definitely not be against having Corey Linsley to join this team.
Yeah, 100%. It's exciting. We'll see where it all ends up and how it all works out. But so my last thing for you is, there's so much potential and there's so many things that could happen with these new coaches, the new schemes, the new offense, all that stuff. So in terms of like a breakout player, who is somebody you think on our roster right now that we currently have that could really take the step forward and be a really breakout player for us next year?
I'm going to give you two, and one's going to be who I think is going to do it, and the other one is going to be who I want to do it.
I love it.
The think is Kenneth Murray. I think him installed in Brandon Staley's defense coming off of last year when I think he was still kind of just getting in his ideas of, where he was going to be in the defense and him being utilized to his better potential and possibly even coming in there as a full-time starter. We have no idea what's going to end up happening with Denzel Perryman, but you put Murray and Tranquil next to one another, that's going to be a lethal combination, I think. And I think that you're going to see huge progressions out of Kenneth Murray. Even the fact that I think under the radar, he still had a great rookie season, but I think that he's poised for a breakout role in his sophomore season. The one who I really want to have a breakout season is a player who I think has been undervalued, underutilized, and never really given a fair shot. And this is going to be his fourth year with the team, and that's Uchenna Nwosu. I think what happened to him last year in Gus Bradley's defense was nothing short of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I hate to be that blunt about it, but when you lose Melvin Ingram and when you end up being last in the league in blitz percentage, and you see games where Uchenna Nwosu is having 15 snaps, 17 snaps in a game, when he's arguably one of your fastest pass rushers and you're not putting him in, makes absolutely zero sense. So I would love to see Uchenna Nwosu, number one, get a fair shot to get the first crack to start across from Joey Bosa, but more so, I'm excited to see what he's going to develop into in Brandon Staley's defense with him still calling the shots.
Yeah, 100%. That going from, the same old defense we've had forever and like the rumors of not making adjustments at halftime, not really. The defense we have is the defense we're going with. Seeing what some of these guys can do and what they can be, like even like Tillery, he had a couple great games and then just kind of stopped. Like, I'm just curious what the scheme was holding some of these guys back. So that'll be really interesting to see those two guys play. And then the one I'm interested in is the easy comparison is Kamara Eckler. Like clearly in Lombardi's offense, that's a big deal. And I think there've been some comparisons between the two. So it'd be fun to see him go off even more next year.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm really excited to see what that's going to bring. And especially again, you talk about the differences when, I mean, look what the offense really turned into when Austin Eckler returned at the tail end of last year. Herbert knew exactly what he was going to do, and you saw them feeding the ball a little bit to him a little bit more. And I think it really was unfortunate that we had that long stretch where we didn't have Eckler last season. So you bring him back fully healthy with a good idea now, especially with Lombardi running the offense and already established with what you have with Herbert and how you want to run this scheme. I think the sky's the limit for what we could see from him.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So, all right, Jake, thank you so much for your time, man. It was great having you on. And we really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Happy to do it anytime. Thanks so much, Kevin.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Jake the Snake Hefner.
Yeah, man.
Let's
Jake's
go.
awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we definitely align on a lot of our thinking in terms of what's capable of happening next year.
Yeah, I talked last week about Uchenna Nwosu being more looking back at when we drafted him, it kind of puzzled. Like, I feel like we saw him where he was when we drafted him. We're like, oh, we got to draft this guy, but didn't necessarily fit our scheme. And we're kind of hoping that he would morph into something that he's not. And I do feel like this new coaching hire is going to be awesome for him. So that's just, it's always good to hear someone else have your same feelings towards someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kenneth Murray too. I mean, he had a great rookie season, so it's hard to say like he's going to have a breakout year. And that's what Jake alluded to. But I do think that with Coach Staley not being scared to put someone in a different position, play to play, like Jalen Ramsey, like we talked about, playing slot and then outside. Like I could see Kenneth getting all over there and outside backer, getting some pass rushes a little bit more frequently. Yeah, a little bit more frequently, because that's what he did at Oklahoma. And that's, I remember he got drafted and I watched his highlight reels for like 45 minutes that night. Yeah. And that's what he was doing. He was getting after the quarterback. So I completely agree. That was awesome. Thanks for coming on, Jake.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time.
Big time. No, dropping a lot of great knowledge on us, and it just more reasons for us to be excited about this offseason to see what might happen. Jake is fueling that fire. Thank you, Jake. All right, and now it's time to go on to Fan Focus, and Kevin's got a good one lined up this week. Let's see what he's got.
All right, guys, we're here with another Fan Focus, and this week we have Justin Savercool from Corona, California. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. Getting to talk to another Charger fan, it's always a good day. So, how did let's start off how we usually start off. Like, how did you become a Charger fan?
I currently live in SoCal right now, but I am originally from Denver, Colorado. Like, I moved out here about 4 years ago now. So, but my mom and my dad are originally from here. My mom actually grew up in San Diego, so she was a fan during the Fouts era and all those ones. So pretty much I was born, they slapped a junior sale jersey on me during that. And I think I had no choice from there.
So what was it like being a Charger fan living in Denver?
So growing up in Denver as a Charger fan, a lot of Bronco fans always, basically just talking crap, especially in high school when Peyton Manning was there for 4 years. But other than that, it was a good experience. I mean, I really started remembering Charger football 2005 when Drew Brees actually broke his shoulders. So the whole member from 2006 to now. So it's been good. A lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, I'm sure it was totally different for to being a Charger fan stuck in the middle of donkey country, if you will. But yeah, it's same for me. I talk about it all the time. I'm stuck in the middle of Chief country, so I know how you feel, brother. So I'm glad you're back in Southern California. That must feel nice, and near the Chargers. So you live in the belly of the beast where we're fighting for Rams and Chargers and like the battle for LA. So what are you kind of seeing in your area of like, how are the Chargers doing and what is it like?
So a lot of what I've seen, I've seen some of the billboards, or I really want to see that. Apparently there's like a new spray painting up or whatever with like Herbert in the background, I think with the Pepsi Rookie of the Year stuff.
Yeah.
But there's, from the Charger fans I ran into, there's a lot of excitement. Because a lot of it's like, hey, it may have been a bad year, but it's like, hey, we got this amazing quarterback and things are looking up. Of course, like when I work in downtown LA, so I got a bunch of different football fans, mostly Ram fans, but a lot of them are even talking about my quarterback. They're talking about, hey, you got a baller in the backfield. Like, he's amazing. Like, you guys are going to be something in a couple of years. So even though they're not Charger fans, they see what we have.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that's happening for you too, because we went to the Chief game, in Kansas City, and all interactions I've ever had with Chief fans is bad, and they talk shit about Phillip Rivers. But now they're like, wow, you guys got this something special here, like complimenting. Like, all right, I don't know how to take this. I feel weird about that compliment, but I'll take it.
No, but we're fine. Now it's kind of like more of like who's going to be LA's big star. Who's going to be the LA football team. Because Dodgers and the Lakers kind of are the rulers of that city for sports.
Yeah.
So hopefully, with Staley and this new system being built, like hopefully in a couple of years, we're the ones that are the hot topic.
What are your thoughts on like the, leading up to the draft? Like, are you studying, are you looking at players, you looking at draft prospects? Like, what are you looking at?
So most of my draft knowledge and everything has been coming from most of the old, you or the other podcasts I listen to.
Sweet.
So that's how I've been kind of picking up, because I don't have a lot of time in the day to just kind of like watch film. But if anything, it's most importantly, I'm looking at like whatever linemen's out there, like Rashawn Slater or Panay Sewell will be great, but I know that one will be a little far reaching.
A little hard.
I usually watch the film more when we draft the players.
Sure.
So once we draft them, I'll probably watch whatever certain players to see how they play, how they do. Kind of like I did when we drafted Herbert. I just watched nothing but his film for months.
So cool. So let's talk a little bit about, last season was clearly kind of a rough one for us, right? So, if you were to go back and be shamelessly positive, what was one of your favorite moments from last season?
It's hands down got to be Herbert. Like from when he first came in to the end, I wasn't against the pick when we first got him. Because I watch a lot of Pac-12 football in general, so I kind of knew what we were getting into. But it was definitely Herbert. Like even though we blew most of our leads and was not fun for a good stretch, I mean, I look forward to watching Herbert go in there and play every weekend, seeing him grow, seeing him just start to take control of the offense. I mean, I know at first he was timid, but like, I mean, by the end, it kind of gave me some like, little Rivers vibe. Like he had control, and then, just seeing him grow every week and how historical his season was.
Yeah, it's kind of special that, when you have a season like that where you end 7-9, most teams ending 7-9 feel pretty shitty about themselves. I think we're one of the few teams in history where we finished and we were pretty pumped about how everything went, all things considering, with our rookie of the year, and just so much to look forward to in the future.
Oh no, I'm so excited to see what Staley and this new coaching staff brings to him, and then whatever offense is going to come out of this, whatever they're building. I mean, there's a lot of different pieces I think they're going to try and take from other systems maybe and just build like the Justin Herbert offense, I guess we could say.
All right, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for your time, Justin. It was great chatting with you. And yeah, man, hopefully we'll talk to you soon, and bolt up.
Bolt up. And thanks for having me on. I love the show. Enjoy it. And then keep up the great work.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thanks.
I just want to say Justin has one of the cooler last names, Justin Savercool.
Ooh,
Yeah,
right?
that's pretty
Savercool.
Fucking sweet.
An awesome interview. I love hearing from people, and like I have to say that my favorite part of our podcast are the fan focuses.
Totally.
I like, that's why we do that. That's why we started this whole podcast, was like, we want to have interaction with fans. And finally, I'd like to say, in my acceptance speech here that this has become, Melvin Gordon, go yourself, because we have not only do we have Charger fans, a lot of them, they're in Denver, where you went expecting more fans.
Yeah, wingding.
So suck it, Melvin.
Okay, well, while
and then you come back and work out with our players.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, he was like clearly still buddy with all the guys. That's such a
you
weird.
Miss us. That was a terrible decision.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Savercool, for stopping by and saying hey to us. We really appreciate it. And now we go on to our new segment. You heard it last week, folks. It's coming in again. It's the Greg Experience.
Come to the land of the Craig and down. I'll work on the lyrics.
Yo, CC boys, what's going on? It's your guy, Craig in Texas. And hey, everybody out there in Charger land, Bolt fam, welcome to what Wool Dog has so graciously coined as the Craig Experience. Grab yourself a sip of water, any beverage of your choice for this short walk. And, above all else, do what our guy Denzel Perryman, who may actually soon be departing the team, always says, and stay hydrated. Topic that I want to touch on today, and let me preface this by saying, don't want to, or I'm not trying to piss in anyone's Cheerios here, but just being a realist. I'm seeing a lot of clamoring on Twitter, Chargers Twitter, about every big name free agent, specifically on the offensive line, that hits the market. Or, guys that are talked about in trade scenarios, blah, 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 blah. Listen, Staley has a plan. And if we're following the breadcrumbs, sounds like the scheme that he's looking to run offensively is more zone-based. Sure, they'll probably have some power schemes or, maybe some sort of hybrid of both concepts, but sounds like it's majority zone. And what that requires is a specific type of offensive lineman in certain areas. It lends more towards the more athletic cats. Some of these guys that are hitting the market are being made available for trade don't necessarily fit the bill. So again, follow the breadcrumbs. Staley clearly has a plan. Let's allow him to do what he does before we start passing judgment on any signings or non-signings. Again, we've been subjected to some really piss poor offensive line play over the last decade, so I get it. But again, let the leader do what he does. Let Staley cook. We'll see where it goes from here. Fellas, are there any big names out there that you're hearing a lot about that you don't quite understand why? Or are there guys that you specifically have your eyes on that you would love the team to sign, keeping in mind what they're looking to do? I know Coach probably has some opinions on this, so always looking at what you guys have to say. To the rest of Bolt fam, thanks for taking this short ride. And again, Thanks, guys. Welcome to the Craig Experience. Appreciate your time. Okay. Love you. Bye.
All right.
God, I love it so. Dude, he's got his own proper segment now. I love this so much. All right, I'll jump off. So I'll start with it. So I was doing a little research. I had some time on my hands this last 4 or 5 days, and I was watching highlights again. And they did a Uchenna Nwosu kind of highlight video of some of the better plays is something to look forward to. And that strip fumble on Lamar during that playoff game. Guess who he beat? Guess who he beat?
Orlando Brown.
You're supposed to say who?
You said guess.
Yeah, it's Orlando Brown. Okay.
I don't have to guess when I know the answer. I just told you.
So I wasn't on board with the Orlando Brown already, but then I watched that, and I'm definitely not understanding the let's trade a first round pick for Orlando Brown. Like he was saying, this zone scheme where you need a little quicker athlete, you need to be able guys that can pull, quicker feet, being able to do a lot of stuff. I just don't see that in his play. Like I just don't see it. So that's a guy for me that he could be a great player, but a first round pick, what everyone's talking about right now, makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to find anyone that gets traded for a first round pick when there's 100 players expected to get cut.
Right.
When there's Kyle Vanoys and Golden Tates and these guys getting cut that are like starters in the NFL that are just free agents out of nowhere. Why would I trade for someone when they're probably going to get cut in a couple weeks? Well, yes, you guarantee that player is on your team. You don't have to go to a bidding war. I just think there's going to be a lot of availability at a lot of positions. You don't like if we traded away draft capital that's so important with the cap the way it is. I don't understand. I would not understand giving up anything to try to trade to get one of these guys, unless kind of like Jake said, unless it's 5th round or later. Like you could get. We have a compensatory pick down there, so we have an extra
in the 6th.
Yeah, but like I don't see giving up draft capital for a guy that's probably going to get cut if he's on the trading block. It's like us with Trey Turner. Like we're going to see if anyone bites, but they probably won't. So we'll end up cutting him.
Well, and the climate's changed so much since we first started talking about Orlando Brown, and like all the people that are becoming available, that was not happening when we were talking about Orlando Brown in the first round.
Right,
so that's the one for me. It's like, guys, let's stop this first round nonsense and take a breath.
So for me, there's a couple of things. I think the majority of what this base is around, like when we see free agents or we see big name players on the offensive line position, I think as a fan base, you want to go get him so that way we don't have to draft a tackle. I said this last week and I stick to it that I think that people don't want to draft a lineman because it's not a sexy pick. Like it's not
sexy.
It's not a fun pick. It's not a let's go watch highlights pick. It's a let's create an organization pick. And that's not what we want. We want the quarterbacks. We want the pass rushers. We want the receivers.
It's like insurance. Who really wants to pay for insurance?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like no one wants to pay their premium. No one wants that shit.
Right. So it's like, I think that's why everyone's kind of like, come on, let's sign some free agents. So at 13, we can go get someone cool. I really think that. But the one big name for me that has been tied to the Chargers that I don't understand is the Zach Ertz. Like we already talked about it a little bit earlier. I don't get it. I don't get. We'd have to trade some asset to get him, and I don't see. Yeah, he's on his current contract, whatever that might be. I don't know the exact numbers, but he'll be a free agent soon, and we'd have to pay him. Why would you not just pay Hunter Henry that already has a relationship with Justin Herbert and gets along with everyone in the locker room? And like, I don't know. To me, the Hunter Henry thing is just such a slam dunk to me that I don't understand shopping for a big time free agent tight end. I understand if we've already decided we're going to draft Kyle Pitts or we're going to draft a tight end in the draft, that makes sense. You get a cheaper option. But if you're going to get a sideways or a lateral tight end, why would you mess with anything? Why not just pay the guy you got?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And even if you have to pay him another $1 million, you're not giving up any capital for it. He's a free agent. So yeah, I don't get the Zach Ertz thing.
Yeah, I think for me, the one that that makes me scratch my head sometimes, and I don't hear it very often, but any free agent that is getting into that older category of football tenure, I've heard like, Trent Williams being talked about as possibly coming over for the offensive line, which, I mean, in his prime and in his heyday would be fantastic, but the guy is like, I think somewhere's in that 30 range. So getting somebody that is on the other side of their football career, to me, just doesn't make sense. Like when we got Brian Bulaga, like that felt good because like you knew who that was. Brian Bulaga, Iowa. You're getting that experience. But I think as these guys get older, I mean, like I don't want to say they don't have any, tread left on the tire, but it just seems like money could be spent on younger talent that could blossom into something better, right?
You know what's less sexy than drafting an offensive lineman?
Getting an old
Picking
one.
up an old
Signing
one.
an old one?
Yeah. That's even less sexy than drafting one in the first round.
Yeah.
And to Craig's point, like Brian Bulaga, Iowa is a Big Ten, let's go run the ball 400 times a game type of lineman.
Right.
So I don't know how safe Bulaga is in the long term either. We are going to have a much more dynamic offense. Bulaga fit perfectly for the scheme that Lynn wanted to run with Tyrod Taylor. You would run the ball 70% of the time and pass when you have to.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you have Justin Herbert and the game that we have with the talent we have and the new coach, everything's shifting. I don't even, to be honest, Brian Bulaga, he'll stay, he'll be on.
But Brian Bulaga played with Aaron Rodgers, and that's a similar kind of quarterback, can scramble, can make big plays. So I still see how he's a legitimate.
Well, I'm not talking about pass blocking at all. When you talk zone scheme, that's run plays. Green Bay very much runs a power offense. They come at you, they run downhill. They're coming to get those dirty yards, and then Green Bay, and then Aaron he'll scramble, he'll make plays. But our running scheme is going to be a lot of like fly sweeps. You have to be able to get out on the perimeter and run. A lot of like some reverses, some screens. You have to get out of the box and run. So it's just more dynamic than what maybe Bulaga set to. I think Brian Bulaga will be our right tackle for this year.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to slam Bulaga in any way, shape, but just like in the idea of picking up talent now, with the situation when there is such a deep pool now of free agent talent out there, why would you go for somebody that is in that older category as opposed to getting somebody that's in that younger category? For me, this
is a bad year to be a free agent.
Totally.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's kind of leveled the playing field, old to young, and you're going to pay similar amounts. You're going to want the young guy that has a little more tread.
You want that longevity
upside.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Craig, for checking in with the CC boys. Always good to hear from you. Now it's time to go on over to Ask Boltfam, and we start this one off with one of our old favorites, Mike Nava, who asked the question.
If we don't wind up re-signing Hunter Henry, and I'm saying a big if, what would be the options? Draft Pitts or sign Rudolph or Ertz?
I think it's all going to depend on free agency. There's you're going to find out pretty quick which direction we're going to go in the draft. Like, if you're going to, the first couple days you look at an Ertz or a Rudolph because you lost Henry, then that's what you do. If you don't, you're considering Pitts for sure. That's kind of what it feels like to me. But God, I hope we keep.
Let me ask this question. Who would you rather grow with our quarterback, Justin Herbert? Would you rather a fresh tight end or a fresh lineman? Just not looking necessarily at the players, just the position. Which would you rather grow with Herbert?
Well, in this situation, I would probably say tight end because they like golf together and they're like best friends.
Because that's so important.
Stupid answer to your good question.
That is an interesting question.
Yeah.
I think that chemistry and working together, it's probably a little bit more important for your tight end.
Timing
because he
and
does
all that.
both. Because in essence, to answer your question, the tight end is both. He is an offensive lineman and a wide receiver. So you have to have that, like, tight end, they have a relationship with all the offensive linemen because they do breakout sessions together, and they do pass pro, and they're grinding in there together. So I do think that probably it's hard. I want both. Yeah,
right.
To answer your question.
No, but I think I think the way you answer that is interesting too, just because the concept, at least from everybody right now, it's like linemen are bust.
Yeah.
But now if we lose Hunter Henry, now there is a tight end talent pool in free agency. But these are guys that have been around. They have that veteran status, like Kyle Rudolph, like Zach Ertz. So would you rather get a veteran in that position, or would you rather get a fresh talent that can grow with Herbert and be that dominant presence as both a receiver and as a potential lineman in those situations?
Well, I think first, like, it's going to be hard because the easy answer is Pitts because he's a freak talent and he's amazing, right? But you're not guaranteed you're going to get him at 13. So do you want to trade up to get Pitts because you need that stud tight end? Like that's what's scary. I don't know if I'd go the draft route for that if you're really counting on it,
Yeah. No, I think if Pitts were somehow to drop to us, I'm warming up to him a bit more, but if he drops to us and we haven't addressed the offensive line at all in free agency, and we do draft Pitts
No,
first,
they won't. If we haven't addressed them at all in free agency, they're going to have to go.
That's what I'm saying. So like that would be I would be furious if that happened. But if we've solidified some offensive linemen and Pitts is there, we're not reaching or trading up for him, then I'm all right with it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the hard part too, is like all of this talk is scenario. Like we don't know what's going to happen. So in my mind, there's kind of an upper echelon. If Slater, Darisaw, and Sewell are all gone, we've addressed a couple pieces of our offensive line in free agency already. I could see Pitts. Like I could see it maybe happening if we don't sign Hunter Henry, if we decide to let him walk.
It's right there.
I'm looking into the tea leaves, and it's possible. But I think that there's some depth in the draft at tight end that I don't know. God, it's so hard. I don't know, guys.
All right. I'm struggling with fantasy. I like panic over imaginary football teams. I couldn't do this real deal stuff.
This is hard.
Coach is breaking down. Let's move on to the next question. So darn hard. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Like you broke him with your follow-up.
I know.
I know. Yeah. Your scenarios. I need more info. Can't compute.
His eyes rolled back in his head like a shark. That was weird.
Yeah, somebody put a wallet in his mouth. All right, now we move on to Anchovies 21, who asked the question: when coming up with the name of the podcast, was there any other names you guys were going to go with? Sorry if it's an off-topic question, but just trying to learn more about the best podcast out there. I was trying to think of the answer to this. I know that we bounced some ideas of names back and forth to each other, but I don't remember any of the original thoughts on Charger Chat names.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's been like 3 years now, guys. Like
I don't remember how. I remember like when we looked it up when we became. And by the way, thank you for saying the best podcast out there. That is way
you're so sweet.
Thanks, Anchovies. But
thanks, Anchovies.
Thanks, Anchovies.
It's clearly his name's Anthony.
I'll take the anchovies, hold the pizza, please.
No.
I just remember like when we started doing this, there weren't any Charger podcasts really. There was a couple, but there we looked up some of the names, and apparently we picked Charger Chat, but there was one like years and years prior, and we didn't even catch that, so I can't remember.
It was like a
high
Charger
school
Chats,
college
Chats.
Newspaper or something or other. Yeah.
We just blew past them. Take that, Charger Chats High School.
Take it.
Yeah, it wasn't. We didn't have like a debate. Like, hey, what do you think about this one or this one, or maybe this one? It was like once Charger Chat popped up, we're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Let's run with that.
Yeah, we had no aspirations that this was going to be anything. So it was not.
This was going to be like our mom and dad listened, and that was going to be about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Type of a show.
That was the extent.
Yeah. This wasn't like when the Chargers picked, new logos and uniforms, and they've got, pamphlets of like different color schemes and logo choices. It was just Chargers Chat works. And then like I think Kyle, was it you that sent the logo and it was just like, yep, cool, perfect, good, let's move it.
Yep, I work at a church and I got our like media guy to draft up a little logo for us. And I was like, okay, so let's do it.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Moving
Watch
on.
it. Yep. Next topic.
That's check the gate. Let's move it.
That's the origin story, anchovies. That's
the origin story is Kyle was bored because he stopped coaching football. Right. And then I texted you guys, and 5 seconds later, we were the Charger Chat with the logo.
Yeah, pretty much it.
That was good. All right, thank you, anchovies. Next, we move on to Brian LaRoe, who asked the question.
What games next year are you looking forward to the most? Herbert versus Burrow? Redemption against New England? Sweep the division? LOL.
Sweet question, bro.
Super sweet, guy.
Sweet. I still have the Belichick taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
Gross. Yeah, exactly. I need to get that taste out of my mouth. It's old and yucky. So doesn't shower often. Yeah. So that's my game. I want to get out of.
Tastes like sleeveless. Yeah, I think New England. I mean, that would be the redemption game for sure. To beat New England. I mean, considering that we swept the AFC West in the final 4 games of the season, like it doesn't feel like we have any redemption to prove against them. Although we do want to see those guys win, obviously.
We do need to. I want to see another Mahomes Herbert showdown.
Sure,
because we almost beat him in that first one, and he didn't think he was going to play. So that would be fun too.
Yeah, I think I always look for the Chiefs game. That's like the game I get the most like nervous about and anxious about, and like my behavior is different on game week. That's the game I'm most excited about is the Chiefs game. I want to beat and like the idea that we did beat them last year, but like people are like, oh, we didn't play any of our guys type of thing. I'm like, yeah,
neither did
we didn't either. Yeah. The only guy that we like played was Justin. But other than that, everyone was hurt, and we were like, yeah, season's over. Just sit them. So it's like, I want to beat them. I want to be there at the game as a season ticket holder and watch us beat Patrick Mahomes and just be so excited. That's what I'm most excited about.
Then I want to run up those stairs and go meet Patrick, who just bought his season tickets, and high five that guy.
Give him a good fat high five.
Ass.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Brian. Well, next we've got Steve Haglin. Wow.
Oh, I know him.
Another Charger podcast aficionado.
Oh, shit.
Poking his nose in our business, but he's got a question, so I
love it.
Gotta humor the guy at the very least. He asks a question. It goes a little something like this.
The Chargers 2020 offensive line all join a Peloton ride with Alex Toussaint. Who comes in first?
Good question.
I'm gonna say I didn't know who this guy was. I had to look up who Alex Toussaint was.
No, he's
Kevin has to know. He's our Peloton.
He's our
Peloton guy.
Our token
Haglin
Peloton
and I became Peloton friends, but it's like one of the teachers or whatever. But
he's like one of the coaches.
Hardcore. He's like really intense rides. But I'm going Bud Heavy, dude. Bud Heavy.
Yeah.
It'll be like one of those beer Olympics where you have to ride while drinking, and I think Bud Heavy wins.
Yeah, that's a good call. Okay, so let's go through our options. We got Tevy, Lamp, Bud Heavy,
Balaga,
fucking Trey Turner, I guess. Yeah, Turner will lose. He'll get hurt. Fake an injury in the first mile. Yeah,
something
fake
weird.
Injury. Brian Balaga, Iowa. I think he's got the stamina if it's a long ride. He's got that grit. And I'm Iowa. I'm gonna win this thing.
Yeah.
But I think in a sprint, I think Feeney would take it.
But Heavy, the mullet will look great, not blowing in the wind that doesn't exist when you're on Peloton.
Imagine that mullet and a helmet, like a biking helmet.
Oh my God. If somebody wore a helmet while riding a Peloton.
Tight glasses on.
The fucking stupidest
mullet
thing.
blowing in the wind.
All right. I think there's a consensus.
He's got a fan in front of him and his mullet blowing in the wind. That'd be too good.
Love it.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for asking a very
Thanks,
important question that we needed to answer here on Charger Chat. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Now we move on to Veiled, who asked the question.
It's back.
Chargers free agency do you want to see re-sign the most? Oh, and which one the least?
That's my new favorite.
Yeah, stoner Wolldog. The least? I'll just say I want Hunter Henry, and I really don't care. Jaleel Adai. Yeah, not really. I'm not obsessed about.
You were never a big Jaleel Adai guy.
Yeah, not really. What about you guys?
Yeah, obviously Hunter Henry is the one I want to sign most. And the least, because this is a kind of a cop-out answer, Tyrod Taylor, because
yeah, I guess so.
He's technically a free agent. And
that's a way better answer.
But it's kind of a cop-out. Like, it's not a guy that is like on the hot seat.
Right.
He's obviously gone. But if we re-sign Tyrod Taylor, I'd be pretty pissed. Yeah.
That'd be insane.
Yeah.
What's that syndrome when a nurse, like the Stockholm syndrome, like he got pierced and he just can't leave. He fell in love with his nurse.
There you go. Yeah.
The Stockholm syndrome.
Boy, part of me wants to say Badgley, man. I don't know that I want to see him come back.
Oh, I thought about Badgley. I was like, I don't know if I could just straight up dump him out with the trash.
Yeah.
But kind of wanted to.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I
want to hear what you guys have to say. Keep Badgley, cut Badgley. Let us know in the comments.
Please,
because I think that's a tough, where our kicking game goes is going to be a big deal this offseason. He did lose us a lot of games, but I like him as a person, I think, more than as a kicker.
I know. It's like,
can we keep him as like
the problem is he's our
like
kicker.
A reporter
we don't
or like
know
an
him.
inside scoop guy?
Yeah, can he join Nick Hardwick or something? Like
a coach? Yeah, something. Oh, he'd be a great play-by-play. Yeah. Keep him put him in the box.
We'll see.
We'll
see what happens.
I want to see what you guys think.
Let us know who you think would be who the least you would like to see re-signed at free agent. Obviously, all of us say Hunter Henry. Boy, I kind of lean towards Badgley, and I'm not trying to kick a guy when he's down. I think he's a great dude, but if we see him back next year, it's gonna scare me. All right, now we move on to Daniel Llewellyn, who asked the question. With 2 third-round picks, any chance TT bucks the trend of going on his usual GM sabbatical for the round? Or should we just hope he finds a way to trade both picks away for other assets? Outside of Keenan Allen, who else has panned out? At this point, maybe draft a kicker and a punter.
Third-round kicker and punter.
Let's go. We'll get the best of it. Hey, we'll get the best one in the draft. That's for damn sure.
That's good strategy, Wallen.
Solid strat.
Good strategy.
See, here's the thing. We need to draft a big school lineman in the third round. I feel like the third round is where we keep reaching for these linemen when we don't need to reach for them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Third round's hard, man. Will it come back around? Is it someone that you had too high on your board and you can't let them go again? I feel like the third round is the last round where you should get someone that could really contribute to your team. That I feel like third is probably the toughest round.
And we got two of them.
Right.
He makes a good point. Tommy T has not been known to go hard in the paint on third round.
Hey, if Tommy T's smart, he consolidates those and turns them into one somewhere else to look better on his resume.
One second rounder.
It's better to strike out once than twice.
Okay, so let's ask this. Would you trade 2 third-round picks for a first round?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
I would take
I don't think
the
so.
2/3 for a high second.
High second, yeah.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
Sign me the up for that.
All right.
Get on the phone.
Get him on the phone.
Dude, knowing Tom Telesco, he's already on the horn, my friend. He's already making moves.
I'd give up Trey Turner for a third round pick.
I think we're going to give up Trey Turner for a Coke and a smile now.
I'd give up Trey Turner for a ham sandwich.
For a nothing. For a ham sandwich. Flapjack and a cigarette.
Yeah.
Smoking a pancake.
Smoking a pancake.
All right, now we move on to Zach Marincic, who asked the question.
Like Zoink Scoob, what's the move if Darisaw, Slater, and Sewell are all gone at 13?
What do you think, Kyle?
That's kind of what I brought up earlier. That's a great question. Because I do think after those three, we could get a good guy at second. In the second round.
So that's been a lot of the talk, and even Steve Haglin has it as his tag right now, is drafting Vera Tucker at 13. If he's there,
it's high for a guard.
I feel like that's just too high for a potential tackle.
It's a classic Charger thing where you're drafting a lineman earlier than he needs to be drafted.
Yeah.
So at that situation, Pitts, that makes sense if he's still available. But I think the question is all based around an offensive lineman. So like maybe not that. If that's the situation we're at 13 with those guys off, I may be looking to go back a little bit. You can go back later in the first round and like that Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. Like that seems more like a guy that you could draft and he could be serviceable in the first round, but later, like not reaching too early, for a guy that probably is going to be chilling later in the round.
Yeah. There's going to be, it's so hard. Like, so those are my three guys that
mine too.
Yeah. If any one of those there, it's an automatic pull the trigger. But after that, it gets tough because obviously we don't know what else. If Jalen Waddle falls, do you pull the trigger on a wide receiver, go best available, even though it's not necessarily a huge need right now? Or do you go defensive back? And if one of those guys fall, it's hard. Like it's hard to project. But I do think that if one of those three, if Sewell, Darisaw, and Slater all go, I do think there's a chance we don't go offensive line. Am I saying that's what I want? No. But I'm saying that there's a chance. Mm-hmm. I would prefer, if there's not a guy right there that we love, that we trade back into later in the first and still pick an offensive lineman with our first, but take advantage of being a high pick. I hope that we never pick above 20 or really above 32 ever again.
Yeah.
So if you don't love a guy at a position of huge need, then trade back. But yeah, we'll see. That's a great question. These are all hard, guys.
You're on fire tonight.
Yeah, you're killing us.
You guys always asking the great questions. So thank you, Zach Marincic. Now we move on to Zack Whitaker. Back-to-back Zach Attack. Going something like this. Let's play a game. Cut one, or cut one. Turner, T. Turner, Trey Turner.
All
of the above.
Good one.
How many times do you think Justin Herbert got up and said, God damn it, under his breath after the O-line got him killed? Over, under 69. Nice. I smashing the over. Considering that we've not really heard Justin utter any kind of frustration other than questioning whether or not he was in, I can't see him saying, God damn it, in any capacity other than God damn it, I burned the brisket again. Something. And I can't even imagine that's a possibility. So I don't know.
I'll probably go under 69
under.
On that.
I like the over under option of 69. Come on. That's classy,
dude.
Zach.
That's classy as shit.
I like it. Yeah, I would go under.
We messed up big time a couple episodes ago. We did not make enough 69 jokes. So I think Zach's kind of helping us out. Yeah, we appreciate it, Zach.
I think under. I just think Justin's a good guy. Just a character guy. He's probably like, you know what? Good try, guys. That was a tough block. I didn't check us into the right
fault.
pass pro.
That was totally my fault. I should have thrown the ball.
We'll get him next time.
Ran it in or whatever.
We'll get him next time.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Zach. Next, we move on to Pyro KM47.
Got a new one.
Yeah. Who asked the question? As a fellow season ticket holder, if they do add the 17th game at home versus Vikings, do we automatically get that ticket, or are we paying extra? LOL.
That's one of your better ones, Adam. I love that voice.
I like all of them. So this is getting hard.
All right.
But this was a good question because I had the same question, and then luckily we, have
We've got a
rep
connection
that handles our tickets. So Kyle reached out. What'd you hear back, Kyle?
Yeah. So basically, he said I don't have any updated information. I was like, hey, I heard there's rumblings of a 17th game. What happens? Do we just luck out and it's included into our plan, or do we have to pay and get I'm sure we get first dibs on that ticket, but do we have to come out of pocket and pay more? And he basically said once we have more information from the NFL, once the schedule is fully released, we'll notify our members. So I guess expect an email. I would assume you get first dibs and you get to choose if you want it or not. But yeah, I'm picking it up. That's like Christmas in May or whenever they announce the schedule. I get another game? Sweet.
Dope.
Take my money.
Yeah. Now we move on to the Reddit side of Ask Boltfam, and we go to Ed Boyum, who made a request. I don't know that I can pull it up, but I will do my darndest. It goes a little something like this. Hey guys, appreciate the answers. Looking forward to the next podcast. Anyway, if you were Badgley, how worried would you be about us signing this kicker, Tristan Vizcaino? How long of a leash does the money badge get if he flounders in the first few games? Butthurt toast.
Okay, I've never seen Ed and
a
Eddie.
Great cartoon.
Is it awesome? All right, well, that voice is...
Back in the 90s, it flourished on Cartoon Network and lasted, I want to say, like 5 or 6 seasons, but yeah, that was one of the things that we
big news.
Yeah, we kind of buried the lead.
The biggest news of the week, pretty much.
We left it out of the intro just so we could talk about it here. So congrats, Ed Boyum, on getting a long answer on your question. Chargers did pick up a kicker. That's our first signing of the offseason, Tristan Vizcaino. And Kev did a little bit of research. What do you got?
Yeah, so he attended University of Washington from 2014 to 17. He was a kicker and a punter. So it's a fucking, sorry. I don't know, I got so fired up with that. Leave all this in. Sorry. He fucking did the opposite of what our current kicker does. He does it all, man. So he was a kicker and punter. His most significant action came in 2017 when he made 12 field goals.
Nice.
He went undrafted in the 2018 NFL draft, but since then, he's kind of been the gypsy, if you will, the traveling guy, not putting down any roots.
Oh, I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
Yeah, so he's been on 6 teams in the last 3 years, a couple teams twice. So the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Vikings. He just recently this year played for the 49ers, and the reason why he got a start was because of COVID, because Robbie Gould, their kicker over at on the 49ers, was in the protocol. So he came in and made all 3 of his field goal attempts.
And did kickoffs, Kevin.
And did kickoffs. That's what I'm looking for.
That's what I'm talking about.
So we now have a kicker, a backup kicker on the roster. We also signed Lachlan Edwards to a futures contract this offseason, who is a punter. So it's clear that things are moving in a different direction.
Just saying Volcano. There's definitely a graphic you could use in the stadium after he kicks a field goal. I'm just saying it could be exploding
Oculus.
volcanoes. Yeah. Nothing like high definition volcano footage. So I don't know, dude. It's such a crapshoot. They're bringing in 2 kickers. I am not feeling comfortable if I'm Badgley
If my
right
name
now
is
whatsoever.
Money Badger, I am not feeling comfortable right now.
I think
I'm not signing any checks.
No, dude. Yeah, definitely not. Don't put too much into your IRA this year, bro. So the thing is like we clearly have a new special teams coach, and I think the situation we were in last year, I bring it up all the time. It is just so odd to have a kicker that doesn't do kickoffs. It just doesn't. It's just weird. So I think that if you're coming in from the outside, that's an easy upgrade after his
to have
last
a
season.
punter that can kick better than you.
Exactly.
Right.
So
because when he filled in, he did a pretty damn good job.
Yeah.
Missed less field goals
2 seasons ago.
Money
Yeah.
Badger.
But he's not the
100%. He
best
lost less games.
punter either.
Right.
So that's the problem. We're like in this weird like no man's
But what's
land
the
of
better-
like guys
what's the
that can
better-
do multiple things but aren't good at the one thing they're supposed to be good at. I ran out of air on that.
It's passionate.
Inward singing, check it out. And I'm always singing, but I'm never stopping singing because I'm always I'm like a fucking one-man band. Check it out.
Yeah, I'm excited for Tristan. I think he's been playing backup for all of these other teams. Yes, he's been passed around like a hooer, but I think it's. But I think he has a lot of potential. I think he just hasn't been given a shot. Honestly, if he went undrafted, I think every team that he's been on has had a kicker in place, and he was just the backup support. I think here, I mean, he's played in at least one game and he made all his field goals and did the kickoff. I'd be worried if I was Money Badger.
And Tristan the Volcano Vizcaino has been training with Nick Novak. So old Charger kicker, dude. And the weird thing, they're practicing at the school that he was the head coach at, their field. Like I was like, this is kind of lining the stars a little bit.
I think that was the weird thing was when it was announced, it came from like the Nick Novak school of coaching that Chargers signed Tristan. Like even the Chargers Twitter wasn't the first to break the news. It was like Nick Novak's school breaking that Chargers signed Tristan. So it's weird. It wasn't what anybody expected to see, but after seeing him do some gigs, I'm not opposed to having him.
But it's just like fucking kickers, man.
I know.
Like, it's the highlights are just like, dude, that's the one motion. Just hit it fucking straight. Like, why are we having this conversation? I'm tired of having shitty kickers, man.
It's all good. It's all
I'm
good.
sorry.
We'll see what happens in the
calming
future.
down.
At the very least, he gives Badgley some competition to kick his ass in gear, and if not, then we know that he's got that potential. Now we move on to one of our old favorites, Touch of Phallus, who asks a question. Hey, legends. I know draft and free agency is the talk of the town, but I thought I'd ask a different question. I'd like to hear your opinion on the state of the franchise now that we've moved from San Diego and are planted in Los Angeles with what seems like a firm direction. I feel like the move has invigorated the Span-Eye. There's been a distinct shift in thinking within the organization and rebrand that I don't think would have happened if the team stayed in San Diego. I know it's subjective and hypothetical, but if they stayed, I think the complacency and mediocrity would have persisted. So how are you feeling about the move now? In hindsight, was it a good idea? Thoughts? I'd like to request a serious Adam voice. Like super serious. Phallus out. That's what I say to my wife.
Oh, dude, he said, "Hey, legends, dude, the Phallus just became legendary status for us in this Ask Boltfam." Wow, dude, and Adam, that voice, like, I was riveted, man.
I know. I was you had me at every single word. I was like,
dude, it was like on the edge of my seat.
I can see the words you're gonna say, but what are you gonna say next?
I'm reading. I can see what you're about to say, but like the way you say it is so much more interesting than how I'm reading.
There you
go.
Yeah, that's really good. Wow, and the question.
It's a great
really
question. Like,
too. Yeah,
this is, but there are pitfalls here. If there's like San Diego fans that,
So my heart immediately says it still was a bad idea to go to LA.
Mm-hmm.
I still wish they were the San Diego Chargers. Like sometimes I'll watch like an old game on YouTube and it'll talk about the San Diego Chargers and show Qualcomm and like
the history was there.
Well, yeah. And like, that's where I learned to love football was going to San Diego Charger games with my dad and my brother. And like, it's like a big, like, I don't care if we'd never won or if the organization did stay in that old philosophy. I still wish they were the San Diego Chargers.
It's weird for me, dude, because I don't necessarily feel that way. And maybe that's just you still live there. I live there and it was some of the most amazing times, like growing up being a San Diego Charger fan. But my fandom and my passion for the team has only grown as I've gotten older. And those years I've been out of San Diego since I was 19, 18. So like, I don't have the ties to the community as you do. It would be nice, but I'm honestly the direction that we're going, the coverage we're getting, the things that are happening right now, we're going to take time, but now they're here. Mm-hmm. And now we're starting to reap the benefits of this. Like just simple things like our social media team. We're getting filmmakers, we're getting people that live in LA that are going to be able to contribute because they're locals. You don't have the biggest community for this kind of stuff in San Diego. Like there's some great, talented people down there, but I think there's so many, there's so many exciting things, and to harp on it, it's just not.
I just don't know. Like, okay, so let's talk about it. Like, I think the social media aspect, 100% has gotten a lot better, but social media has grown a lot in the last 5 years since we've been gone. And to say that it's drastically
find my
different
wife and get
just because we're in LA, I don't know. Like, I don't know. For me, it'll always be a little bit in the back of my mind. Like, I wish they were the San Diego Chargers. I don't know. Like, there's no way for me to get away from that.
Well, the history, I agree with you 100% on the history. Like, there's nothing like having that kind of.
I just think that even if we win a Super Bowl, it'll almost be like obviously I'll be out of this world, losing my mind. Because as you said, like as I get older, I love sports more, and it's like more of a, I'm an adult, I have responsibilities, but I have this thing that like allows me to like just like do this, like be a part of something bigger than myself and my little family. And like, so I'm growing a more of a fondness for the Chargers, but I think that would have happened even if they were here in San Diego. Right. I don't think that changes, but I do live in San Diego, and like the Padres, we're a small market team. And like, I know there's a Dodger fans that listen to our podcast. It's off season, still spring training. We have a truce, but the idea of having a San Diego team, there's this connection to it that's a little bit different. So, do I think it's probably overall good for? Obviously, it's a much, much bigger market in LA than San Diego. It's probably forced our ownership into making more progressive moves. But I have a spinoff of this question for you guys. I don't know if you were done answering it, but do you think that the San Diego Chargers would have re-signed Phillip Rivers to a 2-year deal? Do you think Justin Herbert is a Charger if they stayed in San Diego?
Dude, I don't know. There's so many what ifs that lead up to that. You know, like do they hire Coach Lynn?
Everything stays the same. Records were the same. Yeah. Offseason moves were the same. Would they have re-signed him that year that he was a free agent and decided to go to the Colts?
Coach Lynn was moving on, dude. I don't think that would have changed at all. I don't think just because of the ties to the community means he would stay. I think
it would have been harder.
Years.
I think you do, no matter what, the ownership and management considers their fan base. You have to.
I think there would have been more of an outcry, but I don't think the decision would have been changed. I think the decision still would have happened. Not saying that I would have wanted it to happen, but I mean, I think the move to LA has just been a tough pill for everybody to swallow because we're fans of the team. We're fans of the players.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm still a diehard Charger fan, no matter where they move. They can move anywhere. I don't care. But I do wish they were in San Diego.
I don't have Spanos trading cards that like I hold on to and covet because I'm such a fan of the Spanos.
His rookie card.
Or the Spani, rather. I'm a fan of the players and the team, and we've grown to love this team. That for them to leave their roots and go to a different market, it hurts. But you know what? Time heals all wounds, and I'm not as stung by it anymore as when it was a fresh wound when it initially occurred. Like. Again, like I'm a fan of these players. I'm a fan of Justin Herbert. I'm a fan of Keenan Allen and Joey Bosa and Kenneth Murray and all the other guys.
And our stadium.
Our stadium is kicked ass. And by the way, one of the things that I thought was interesting that Rich Eisen pointed out, who is the most tenured quarterback now in LA? It's Justin Herbert.
Herbert. It's our boy, Justin Herbert.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think if I'm Stan Kroenke, I'm probably pretty pissed going like, why did you guys have to draft the offensive rookie of the year? Like, really? Like, why do you have to make that hurt?
It's weird. Okay, so it's hard to think about. Like, I do think that if we had stayed in San Diego, I think Phillip would have got another. I really do think he would have got another shot with the Chargers. But that goes to the same question. It answers this question. Would that have been good for the organization? My heart says yes, but realistically, no.
No.
In the long term, Justin Herbert's probably the I don't even want to finish it. He's the better option for the Charger. Like much obvious. Cheaper.
Yeah.
You can build a team around him. So to answer this question very succinct, very shortly, the move to LA probably brought us Justin Herbert, which was very good for the organization.
Agreed. That was a long walk for that hypothesis that you just
that was a good question. Touch of phallus.
Very
so serious.
It was very serious.
Yeah, you bring up San Diego Chargers, and we're going to talk for a while.
That's right.
Because we have to process.
You're being a real dick for making me feel feelings, phallus. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Just kidding.
Thank you, Touch of P.
I love you, fellas.
Moving on. We've got Impressive 3 who asks a very simple and succinct question.
What are your thoughts on Tristan Vizcaino? Who is he? What does he do?
Yeah, the Volcano Vizcaino. I'm going to make the stick. I'm going to keep saying it till
the Volcano.
I like
Vizcaino,
it.
The
Tristan
Volcano.
The Volcano Vizcaino.
He's explosive. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. I will see, dude. We'll see. I don't know.
I'm just excited that the option is there. And it's not
I'm excited that we signed somebody.
That too.
We finally have something to talk about because we've been sitting in this we've just been floating on this raft in the middle of a pool and just there's nothing really going on. So the fact that we signed somebody, whether or not he's our starting kicker, is still fun to talk about.
Yeah, the thing about the kicker position, there's 32 teams. There's only 32 NFL kickers in this whole world. You're telling me there's not more than 32 people that could kick a ball through a field goal post?
Yeah.
That's bull crap. There's guys out there that are free agents. They don't have to be drafted. They're sitting on the couch. They can do it. They have the mental strength and the physical ability to go out there and kick clutch field goals.
Some of them are working with Nick Novak now at the Nick Novak School of Kicking.
They're in San Diego and they're kicking at Maranatha Christian
Nick Novak School for kids who can't read it.
School needs to be at least 3 times this size.
The goalposts need to be at least 3 times this size.
All right. So there you go. There's our thoughts on Tristan. Next we move. We like it a lot. Next we move on to Z the King 1, who asked the question:
Who are your dream free agency signings? Yes, let the hate
Star Wars
through.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I was going for.
That was good.
Jedi.
Emperor. I love it. That's good. That was good. What do you think, Kyle?
Pie in the sky dreams.
Yeah, there's a lot, man. I think it's pretty much all offensive linemen. Villanueva from the Steelers, I think that would be awesome. I don't know how realistic it is. I don't know how it happens. I just like the work ethic of the guy. He was like an Army Ranger before he became an NFL tackle.
And he's older. He's 30, early 30s, but he didn't start playing in the league till he was 26 or 27.
Yeah, he did his service. Yeah. So that guy would be awesome. Brandon Scherf, right guard, which is obviously a need because Trey Turner just was a very poor decision. I feel like that goes against Tom Telesco more than any draft pick he ever had. But yeah, those are the 2 guys in my mind that are let's go find a way to get those 2 guys. That opens up your ability to draft best available at 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the more I look at it, the more that Johnson from the Rams makes a lot of sense and is kind of exciting. And the way he talked about him, about how he basically, they gave a player the green dot where the coach can communicate with them in the helmet. And safeties don't usually get that. That's usually a linebacker thing. So he knew the defense so well that he could call the plays and get everyone in the right place. So having somebody like that, it's not just an upgrade over Jenkins at that position next to Derwin, but it sounds like a good leader that knows this defense really well. That could be an immediate help. So, I don't know if it's pie in the sky because Von Miller would be fun as hell to have on our team, but that one just seems like the most practical and exciting. That makes the most sense for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, pie in the sky would be Hunter Henry, obviously. That's our dream.
Yeah, very good point, Bulldog. Thank you for bringing it back.
Thanks for reining us back in.
Thanks for reining us back in. We got to start at the start of the
home base. I would say it's Hunter Henry. I think the one that I think would be interesting to pick up, and I don't know how well he fits the scheme, but Shaquille Griffin, the cornerback from Seattle, I think might be a fun pick in the cornerback situation, which seems to be a concern for most people that do mock drafts and stuff like that. That is an area of concern. I don't know what kind of money he would be pulling in, but I think he'd be a fun player to watch. So,
well, let's just be honest. Not a lot of people are bringing in any kind of money this offseason.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Maybe he shows up. We'll find out. Time will tell.
That's a good name drop, Bulldog. I love that. I actually really like that idea, that pick. I think the Seahawks are in a rebuild, especially if they let Russell Wilson go to Chicago.
Yeah. Who knows what?
You might as well offload all those big name free agents. You're not going to win anytime.
It's a good year to do it if you're going to reset.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But thank you, Z the King. And now we move on to Mallerboss, who asks the question: We just completed a mock off season with representatives from all 32 teams. If you guys need some content, could be interesting to hear your review. That was my Joe Swanson from Family Guy. Bader.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think right now there's so many what ifs up in the air right now. It's hard to tell what's going to be necessarily a good mock draft pick, or, especially when it gets deeper down into the draft. Like, we don't know what our needs are yet because we haven't had our free agency. So I think once free agency happens and we could be a little bit more, stand on some solid ground as far as who we think our big needs are, and we can really, plant our flag in the dirt and say, this is who it should be. I think we'll get into that as the offseason continues. And, there's still plenty of time between now and when the draft happens. So I think when we get a little bit closer to the draft, we'll definitely start looking at some other people's drafts and maybe just, finding out from everybody else, hey, who do you think would be good in the mock drafts coming up ahead? So I think it's a great question, though, Malarbas. Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, so thanks so much for reaching out, man. And we're definitely going to dive into more draft, get heavy into these mocks once we get a little closer. So it'll be kind of fun to see where everyone lands, and there's going to be a lot more excitement and easier to narrow down. So we'll hold on to this the mock you sent us, but we will definitely get to him soon.
All right, moving on to Kanyeezy96, who asked the question.
What's your guys' expectations for Staley this year? Like, do you think he'll have a winning season in his first shot at things? Also, what's one thing you dudes think Jay Herb should improve on going into year 2? Sure, reading coverages, but anything in specific from the coach? Bolt up, brothers. Y'all have become one of my top podcasts. Shout out to my little dude, John Slenderman Arveo, who also listens to you guys stuff. Peace.
Awesome, dude. Thanks, Kanyeezy.
Thank you, Kanyeezy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, there's so much room. His rookie year, and he didn't have a full offseason to really prepare. And he's going to be in a new offense. So I think there's so many things to improve on, which is crazy to say because he's the offensive rookie of the year. Were there any things that, since he pointed you out specifically, Coach, that you think would be, something that you'd like to see him improve on going into next year?
Yeah, so it is hard. He was offensive rookie of the year. I think he was a top 10 in almost every category as a quarterback. So it's hard to be like, this is a glaring position, like, point that he needs to improve on. But I think everything can get better, right? Like, he was a rookie. He didn't even know what it meant to be a pro. The way he prepared, took care of his body. You could get better at all of that stuff. But I think the one thing mostly is his at the line audible, getting us into the correct stuff. I think I don't know this to be fact. I'm not privy to the information that the coaches have. But I think that a lot of it depended on our coaches to make the right calls, and I think that a lot fell on Dan Feeney's shoulders to get the pass protection in place. I think that's probably one of the biggest things, that as a second-year quarterback, is being able to check coverages and get in and out of plays at the line of scrimmage before that clock expires. I think those are the two things that are going to be the most that we see big improvements on first and second down. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we saw was, holy cow, this guy on third down is incredible. And I think that first and second down, where he's going to be able to manipulate things a little bit more, being able to get in and out of plays, getting to second and third play that were called in the huddle. It's hard because a lot of this stuff as fans, we don't know. Like, from the outside looking in as a fan, I'm like, just do what you did last year and we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Like, if our special teams isn't crap the bed, just do what you did last year. But I do think there will be drastic improvement in a lot of those areas that maybe you don't notice. So I would pay attention to what he does at the line of scrimmage, see how much more vocal he is in getting pass pro selected, and potentially even getting in and out of plays. So yeah, I think those are the biggest things, which again will be hard to track. But
my big one is like sliding and getting out of bounds with taking shots. Like, I just don't want him to get hurt, and I want him to protect himself. Like, he took way too many shots last year that he didn't need to take.
How much did those hits tie him to his teammate?
That first one where he knocked out the Chiefs linebacker, like, that galvanized him with his team.
Oh,
like, you saw the guys on the bench, like, shit. Like, this guy's
he
for
cuckooed
real.
That dude.
Yeah, this guy's for real.
That dude.
You kind of like that was something that had to happen, but agreed.
But now that you've done it and you're still good, just let's work on sliding
a little bit
and
better.
Right.
Yeah. And I think on the first part of his question in regards to Staley, I think, we all expect it to be a winning season. The guy has been touted as the wonderkin coach. So absolutely see that getting better. And I'd like to see this defense make a jump. I think we were in the low 20s last year as far as our ranked defense. We better be in the top 10 come next year, just under Staley's tutelage.
Yeah.
Top 10 and over 10 wins. How about that? Top 10 defense and over 10 wins.
I like it.
Yeah. Derwin James playing last year, we would have been over 500. So we better have a winning season.
Big time. Thank you, Kanyeezy, asking great questions. Next, we move on to Okie Doggy, who asked the question. I don't know if you really touched on it, but which coordinator are you intrigued by and which position coaches are you high on?
Well, I'll lead off on this one. I think, we all know that Brandon Staley is going to be so heavily involved with the defense that Ronaldo Hill, I'm excited to see what he's going to do, but the head coach is going to be really involved with that. So I think the big one for me is just what happened with Herbert last year, how good he was, like what he looks like in Joe Lombardi's offense. That's what I'm kind of most excited to see.
Yeah, I'm most excited about Frank Smith being our new offensive line is the biggest need for our team this year.
Yeah.
It's just such a whole, we have to have a lot of improvement. So bringing in a fresh guy, even though our previously tenured offensive line coach was a 1-year guy, I just like, it's something about like, let's bring in somebody new. We're all starting fresh and we have a run game coordinator, which is like, it's fun to think that there's different people on our team, our coaching staff that have a say in the total game plan. And it's specialized. Like these guys will go to Lombardi and be like, hey, this is what I've seen in their defensive line. Our offensive line strengths are this. Let's take advantage here, and here. That's who I'm most excited about. Not only him as a person, but him as a position. That he's a run game coordinator. I like that idea. Like that's something I've always looked for as a coach. I want to be a part of a staff that works together. That it's cohesive. That you're allowed to speak your mind and have your voice heard. He's a 17-year coach, so he has experience. There's no point in just shutting that up and say, hey, coach the O-line and give me an update once a week on what's going on. Like, let's come together and build something cohesive.
Come together right now.
Frank
Over
Smith.
me. The guy that I'm just excited to see because it can't get any worse than last year is Darius Swinton. Like special teams, like should come out to be a completely different beast from last year. If it's anything similar, I'm gonna be really concerned.
Yeah, he has pretty low expectations.
Then it's a jinx. If they're as bad as they were last year,
then it's a curse.
Going on.
It's something.
There's something.
There's
happening.
some hex over the Chargers special teams, but. Excellent question. Thank you, Okie Doggy. Now we move on to Mexican 21, who asks a question.
If Hunter Henry is not brought back, does that make Kyle Pitts a viable option at 13 in your eyes? I know we're all thinking offensive line has to be our first pick, and there's a good chance Pitts isn't there when we pick. But if we fail to re-sign Henry, we might be able to bring in an extra lineman in free agency that we wouldn't have otherwise. I see Pitts as a Darren Waller type, which could be incredible to pair with Herbert. I'm going to go jam my thumb in his butthole.
We talked about it a little bit, man. It makes sense. If the comparison to Pitts to Waller is even cooler if you look at Frank Smith, who just worked with Waller as a tight end coach. So maybe, he's got some say in it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not ready to give up on the Hunter Henry idea yet. I know you got to prepare for the future, but I've never been good at that.
Yeah, preference is Hunter Henry with an offensive lineman at 13. But if things don't go as planned, if Pitts is there and we've addressed some things in free agency, it's a more exciting pick. Like as a fan, I'm like, oh, that'd be fun to go watch his highlights. And that's exciting. But like, I just don't know if it's what's best for the organization.
Agreed.
Big time. All right. Thank you, Mexican.
Are you a Mexican or a Mexicant?
He's a Mexican. 21. Now we move on to YNWA Dad 10, who asks the question.
Coach, we're both dads named Kyle who root for Liverpool and the Chargers. Cheers, bud. Thanks for making a great podcast every week. I really agree with Coach Duggan that Uchenna is set for a breakout year under Staley, just like Floyd with the Rams. Let's set the over-under at 7 sacks for Nwosu. You guys taking the over or under on that? P.S. Hope you guys both survive Dad Week.
I was always going to survive Dad Week. My kids, on the other hand,
yeah, I'm way
they're
more
still
reliable
alive. Yeah,
at surviving life than they are.
Their probability of surviving Dad Week was way lower than mine.
It dropped about 15%, in all honesty. When Mom left, it dropped about 15%.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
But they're alive. Mom just got home. Everything is back to equilibrium, and the kids are alive.
Dude, I took my kids to the park on the last day before Mom came home, and dude, my 3-year-old jumped over this fence and slid down this 10-foot hill and almost like fell over onto this like thing that would have like f***ed him up properly. And I had to like jump over the fence and like grab him while my other kid was like trying to steal one of the waters of these other kids at the playground. It was a fucking mess. It was a mess. I dodged a bullet, guys. I dodged a bullet.
Yeah, we survived. Thank you for thinking about us.
Yeah, and Liverpool fan too.
Yeah,
that's the You Never Walk Alone Dad.
Yeah, You Never Walk Alone Dad. I told you guys about it last week. Yeah, he it's not easy to be a Liverpool fan right now. So power to you, man.
Power in numbers.
Let's get it. The over-under, guys, the question that was at hand. I will take the over on 7 sacks. I think he's going to have that much of a breakout this coming year.
I'm going to push. I think 7's a good number. I'm going to push that.
I'm going to go over too. I was curious when I saw this question, I wanted to go look at Leonard Floyd's highlights and what he did last year. And he had 10.5 sacks last year. And I could see Uchenna being in that position and making those kind of plays in the very same way. So I'm with you, Kyle. I'm going to go over on that one.
Yeah, I feel like Uchenna was getting 3, 4, 5 sacks a season and he wasn't playing.
Right.
That's true.
Let him play consistently and he's going to get 8
Let him
sacks.
play!
Let him play.
Excellent. Thank you, YNWA Dad, for asking the question. And lastly, we go out on Muddy Buddy 007, who asks the question.
How many heads were shaved this week? Yeah!
That was good. Oh, dude, SpongeBob, Joe. That was really
That was a special recommendation or request from Stellan.
There you go.
Yeah, my sons watched that new SpongeBob movie like 15 times in the last 2 days. So thank you. Hell, appreciate that.
So how many heads were shaved?
I pussed out. I thought my wife would probably be mad at me, so I pussed out.
You
not gonna lie, I'm gonna own it. I pussed out hard. What's your answer on the shaved head thing?
I had 0 seconds for anything outside of keeping my kids alive. Yeah.
Bunch of dicks just trying to kill themselves at every turn.
Yeah, no. I'm just making food and making sure my 1-year-old doesn't
swallow some
down
drain
the
cleaner
stairs or I no joke caught him trying to put a screw in the outlet at one point. I was like,
dope.
How did you find the one outlet that doesn't have the safety lock thing on
Where
it?
did that screw come from?
Exactly. You never know. He has a secret stash of screws.
The highlight of my weekend, maybe we can roll out on this, is that we were at the same park that my 3-year-old tried to kill himself at. The older one saw a kid playing with a Chiefs shirt on, and he, from across the park, said, "Hey, you, I don't like your team." My 5-year-old did that.
Put that in your pipe and smoke
to some
it.
5 or 6-year-old little
Suck
girl.
on that.
And then their
Suck
parents,
on that, kid.
Her parents looked at me, and I was wearing my Charger hat. I was just like, "Eh?"
You're like, yeah, Stellan. Give me a high five.
Go
buddy.
get him, bud.
You tell him who's boss.
Yeah, hey, you. I don't like your team.
You got to live with that.
Yeah. It's on
You
you,
look at
now.
their parents. Hey, I don't like your kid.
Come on, Stone. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on, Stellan. Let's go.
All right, enough of this malarkey. That's it for Ask Boltfam. So that means it's the end of the episode. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around for another Charger Chat episode, start to finish. Manischewitz, We like them long here at Charger Gen. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
That's touch your phallus.
Touch your phallus. And Adam still needs the D.
I'm still thirsty for it. So don't forget, folks, to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Can't love you, bye.
Can't love you, bye.
Can't love you, bye.
Oh my God.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hello, friend. I see you are in the market for a Swiss Army knife. What luck indeed. For you have come upon the Derwin James Swiss Knife Outlet. Come, friend, let us show you the many knives we have in stock to satisfy your urges. We have 33 different knives for your approval, and with a selection such as ours, there is no reason why you should not leave a satisfied customer. And every Derwin James Swiss knife comes with a free toothpick. So be sure to visit Derwin James Swiss Knife Outlet. If we don't have the tool you're looking for, it doesn't exist.